Oops. Oops. There we go. Welcome, YouTubers. Hello, all. What is this white thing in the corner? I'm like trying to figure out where this white. Oh, that's my sleeve. How funny. That's my jacket. Anyway, the tail's moving. Sasha's moving on the couch. Not happy. We have rainy weather in DC. So welcome everybody. Let me get. Oh, hey Carrie. Let me get TikTok rolling. As always, let's try to keep this to an hour 10 minutes or so. Not as always. I mean, as I am trying to still be nice to my voice, just to be a little bit safe. Oops, little bits of hair sticking up, of course. There we go. TikTok is rolling. All right. Woo-woo. There we go. A little more flowers in the picture. There we go. Excellent. Hello, TikTokers, YouTubers, Discord. How's everybody doing this evening? No sound. All right. TikTok. All right, TikTok, I unplugged you and replugged you. Is the sound working now? YouTube and Discord, I'm sure you're fine. TikTok, is it working now? All right, it hasn't done that one in a while. It was plugged in. Actually, I had my sound plugged in, but sometimes it doesn't like it on TikTok. I don't know why. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the gift. Thank you, Ash. Anyway, welcome, guys. We've got a good amount of news today, actually. I have several pages of news, so it's a busy news day. A lot of Trump news, as always. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Heidi, for the gifts. I'm John Aravosis, coming to you live from Washington, D.C. We talk about the latest news. I'm American, so we kind of do the American perspective. You know, that's the way it is. Ooh, keep hitting my microphone. It's squeaking again. Taco, yes. So, well, we're going to talk about taco. We'll talk about taco in a bit. That's on the list. But I figure we'll wait until we get a few more people here before we talk taco. Where is this? I want to make sure actually my iPad is synchronizing. Oh, it's synchronized. Good. It's synchronized. Excellent. Excellent. You missed me the past week? I was here the past week. Do you mean you were gone or what? I was only gone one day. I was gone Monday. That was, well, the weekend. We didn't do the weekend show. Thank you, Max, for the gift. Oh, you're on vacation. Gotcha. Okay. Got it. You heard some good Ukraine news? Okay. I don't know if I heard any good Ukraine news. We need Joe Biden to run. Yeah. Joe Biden. Look, Joe Biden saved the country from Donald Trump in 2020. We were going to elect a crook for the second time. We were going to elect a guy who nearly destroyed the country with COVID, and Biden ran and beat him. And that was needed. Biden should have stepped down. Biden should have said early on that he wasn't going to run. I mean, Biden said he wasn't going to run again. And then he changed his mind. That was a mistake. He got old. He shouldn't have run again. You know, it hurt us. But, you know, I'm not thrilled about it. But at the same time, Biden did kind of save the country by stopping Trump from winning. And we all know Trump's the worst president in American history, literally. So, you know, again, the other funny thing about Biden is, for our little trolls out there, because that was a troll, he's not president anymore. You guys have got to get over yourselves a little bit. Like, it's like the people talking about Hillary Clinton, and you're like, Hillary ran for president in 2016. She hasn't really been around since then. If you're focusing on Hillary Clinton, you got some issues from 9 years ago, you know? And the same thing with Biden. But I love it. Biden's not president anymore. The crazy guy is. The corrupt guy is. Oh, they still bring up Obama too. Exactly, Copious. Yeah, I didn't even mention Obama. You're right. And by the way, Obama was like one of the best presidents we've ever had. He was foreign policy. He wasn't very good. Domestic policy, he was amazing. Thank you, Terry. He left with a great economy that Trump proceeded to destroy. But, you know, big surprise on that front. In any case, all right. Thank you, Big Hawk. Thank you, Terry. Let's get rolling here. So welcome, guys. This is my show. We're going to start with the American news, the Trump news first. Then we will move on to the Ukraine news, the war there. The way this works is I beg you for gifts and you give me them. No, I do this for a living. Nobody pays for the show. Well, that's not true. We've got subscribers that very generously support me. But what I mean is I offer the show for free to everybody. But I ask, if you can, to do those gifts on TikTok and YouTube and elsewhere that help pay the bills. So I would appreciate your help. All right, guys, let's get rolling here. So actually, this was good news. Remember how one of the many foreigners that Trump has been abusing, thank you, Infinite, thank you, Super Hornet. One of the many foreigners that Trump has been abusing. All right, you want to go there? All right, go. Sorry. It's been raining out all day, so the dog has not been. Oh, our Palestinian friends are, of course, going and attacking the show again. Big surprise. Big freaking surprise. You guys need to stop this. They always interrupt the show when I start the show, and it's always the Palestinians every day. And I just don't understand. I'm not going to spend much time on this, but I don't quite get what they think they're accomplishing, because they are pissing me off. They're pissing me off to them. They're pissing me off to their cause, because it's really rude what they're doing every day. And if you think you're helping, you're not helping your cause. You're really not. So got to tell you. Anyway, come on, dog. There you go. All right. All right. Oops. Anyway, so some good news. So remember how Trump had basically thrown this Harvard researcher in prison? She's a Russian dissident. She left Russia. She criticized Putin. She criticized the war. And she went to France, got some biological samples, some frog embryos or something, was coming back into the States to go back to research. And she's one of like top cancer researchers in America. And she comes back to the States, and she didn't put on her customs form. And here's the thing too. She didn't put on her customs form that she had the frog embryos, but she was asked. Thank you, Rome. Thank you, Marsha. Thank you, Running. Thank you, Bryce. But she was asked at the border by customs, did you bring any biological samples? And she said, yeah, I've got several frog embryos. So she legitimately said, thank you, Denny, for subscribing. She legitimately said that she didn't understand kind of on the form where to put it, but they asked her, and instead of lying, she said, yeah, I've got some frog embryos. Well, because she didn't declare the frog embryos, the Trump people had her arrested. Thank you, Running, for the gifts. Thank you, Marsha. The Trump people had her arrested. They threw her in prison. They flew her down south, put her in prison since March. She's been in prison for like 3 months now. Okay. She's one of the top researchers, cancer researchers in America. Thank you, Wendell, for the gift. Thank you, Running. And judge today stepped in and said it's illegal what they're doing to her. And the judge said she has to be released. Now, they're still, figuring out her case. Okay, dog, I gave you water. Come on. What are you doing? What are you doing? Huh? You're fine. It was raining. It has been raining all day today, so the dog is being a little whiny, but I'm not quite sure what she wants. Let me read you this from the New York Times. A federal judge on Wednesday said she would grant bail to Ksenia Petrova, a Russian scientist employed by Harvard University in an immigration case stemming from Ms. Petrova's failure to declare scientific samples she was carrying into the country. The judge said there does not seem to be either a factual or legal basis for the immigration officer's actions in stripping her of her visa. The judge said the available evidence suggested that the samples Ms. Petrova carried into the country were wholly non-hazardous, non-toxic, non-living, and posed a threat to no one. The judge said that Ms. Petrova's life and well-being are in peril if she is deported to Russia. I forgot to mention that point. Trump, this is how bad this is. The Trump people said they're sending her back to Russia as punishment. She is a Russian dissident. She will be, at best, thrown in jail for the rest of her life if she goes back to Russia. She could be killed if she goes back to Russia. The Trump people don't care. They're throwing her back to Russia. They don't have to send her back to Russia. They can send her anywhere, right? They've sent these people all over the world, right? They're sending her back to Russia. I can only guess for Vladimir Putin, for his benefit. It's pretty sick. Thank you, Life. So the judge noted that too. Like, how could you send this woman? I mean, America sending a dissident back to freaking Russia. America doing that. This shows just how un-American and anti-American this president and this administration is. They do not believe in America's. They do not believe in Republican ideals, because Republicans wouldn't do that. That's not the kind of stuff Republicans would do. Really just amazing. Really just amazing. I'm going to get this one myself. Did you get him? I'm blocking him too. There. I decided to block him as well, Ash. Oh, you blocked him. Good for you. I figured I was like, I'm blocking him. You got him. I saw that. Thank you, Nicolette. Thank you, Marsha. Thank you. Who else we got here? Thank you, guys. Thank you, Rome. Thank you, Sari. Really sick. I mean, really, really sick what they're doing. Again, totally un-American. Oh, yeah, Trump. Trump is looking at more pardons. Remember we talked yesterday about Trump. Thank you, Cricket. It looked like Trump got paid $1 million for a pardon that he did yesterday. A guy who basically stole $10 million in tax money. And Trump pardoned him because mom asked, and then this is great. His mom asked for a pardon. They didn't give it to her. They turned around 3 weeks ago and they said, Mom, the Trump people said Donald Trump is holding an event at Mar-a-Lago for rich donors. All it will cost you is $1 million a ticket. Would you like to come meet Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago for $1 million a ticket? Mom, who just put a pardon application in for her son, and mom said yes. 3 weeks later, she got the pardon. Yeah. Thank you, Marsha, for the gift. Absolutely unbelievable. Hey, Edsel. Oh, does Edsel have a sixth sense with trolls? I never noticed. Although, again, he's been here for years. Exactly. I really do people have asked me, by the way, we talk about trolls occasionally on the show, and I always forget. Not everybody knows what we mean. Trolls are people who come to an online forum. It could be us on TikTok. It could be a blog. It could be the comment section, of a website. And they're people who come intentionally there in order to cause trouble. They don't come and disagree. They actually come with the intent of causing a fight, being mean, making everybody have a bad day. The idea is they think your website's doing too well, or they think your TikTok is doing too well, or your YouTube discussion, and they want to come and cause a fight and just it's terrorism in many ways. I mean, it's sort of emotional terrorism. That's what a troll is. So whenever we talk about trolls, we're talking about people who are not disagreeing. They're people who quite literally come here in order to just be rude and mean and impolite. And it's like I said, you can disagree. It's fine, but it's being obnoxious, right? Anyway, you get it. Thank you, Garden Girl. But that's what we mean. So Trump pardoned the guy whose mom paid $1 million. He's now talking, as of today, he may pardon the people who tried to kidnap the Democratic governor of Minnesota. Number of guys were arrested for it. I think 9 of them went to jail. And Trump is, thank you, Shelby. Trump is talking about pardoning them now because they tried to kidnap and kill a top Democratic leader in the United States. That would be, I don't know, if the Debbie comes back under a new account, every time the Debbie comes back, ban her immediately. That's a guarantee. Ban her immediately. She lost that appeal. We gave her too many chances. Ash and Manda know this, but no. So Trump is considering pardoning the guys who were going to kidnap and kill the governor of Minnesota, a Democrat, because they're a Democrat. And Trump, Trump, the reason he said he's considering pardoning the terrorists is because they got drunk and they said some things. He thinks it's unfair. The real reason, because the governor of Minnesota said that she felt that some of Trump's comments, because Trump, as you know, has a history of promoting violence, that some of Trump's comments caused these guys, inspired them to attack her. Whitmer, exactly. I should have given her name, Governor Whitmer. Did I say Minnesota? What do you mean not Minnesota? Michigan. Shoot, Michigan. You know what's funny? I was going to say Michigan. And I stopped myself and corrected myself. And in my head, I said, oh, it's Minnesota. Sorry. You know what it is? I'm getting what's his face? Kamala Harris is vice president on my brain he was Minnesota, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't he Minnesota? Was it Tim Walz? Michigan. Yes. I hate when you do that though. Like I had it in my head and I immediately went, it's not Michigan, it's Minnesota. Michigan. Yes. So Governor Whitmer of Michigan. But again, this is, guys, we are dealing with, thank you, Maddie. We are dealing with a criminal administration. I mean, this is no longer, it's a kleptocracy. Dog, what are you doing now? Are you trying to get up on the couch? Sorry, one moment. Okay, the dog, this time I do help her. Okay, come here. I got you. Okay, oh my God. There you go. Okay. All right, this one I'll explain. So the dog is 15 and a half, and in the last couple days, she's gotten a little bit scared of jumping on the couch. So now she makes her I'm begging for food noise at the same time. Like it's a noise she makes for food, but now she's doing it when she's standing at the couch and she's afraid to jump up. So I thought she was basically whining for food again, because all day long she whines for food. Thank you, Maddie. She was actually whining because she was standing at the couch and she was afraid to jump up. I was like, okay, so now I feel terrible. I know. It's like, I mean, she's doing well, but she's getting older. You know, I see if you guys can. Oh yeah, you guys can see. She's there on the edge of the couch now. She's on top of my pillow. You guys can see. I know. I've looked at the doggy steps. She doesn't like them. The doggy steps are not great. I've looked at the doggy steps. I don't want to waste time on this, but the doggy steps, they wobble. So like if this is carpeting, the dog gets on them and they wobble, which is not great. I would love to find doggy steps that work. I can't find any that are decent. I've tried. I bought some steps. She hated them. I'm not sure. Maybe the ramp, like you guys said. Maybe I'll look at the ramp again. Maybe I will look at the ramp. But but other people are saying their dogs hate the ramps. Yeah. Yeah. No, I have an ottoman there. I need to get like maybe a lower ottoman. That's not a bad idea. I should see if I can get an ottoman, because I've got an ottoman. I swear we'll stop talking about dogs shortly, but I've got an ottoman that's like this tall. Maybe I can look and see if I can find one. Do they make short ottomans? If there's a shorter ottoman, that would work. Build one. Ashley, you forget who you're talking to here. That would be a good idea. I would have no idea. I can't imagine they make ottomans that are 6 inches tall. Maybe they do. But you're right. I need to, I'm going to look and see if I can find a small little doggy ottoman, an ottoman. That's true. One of the antique ones. All right. We'll keep looking, but the steps don't work. She hates the steps. She hates the steps. So we'll have to see about that. Yeah. I mean, the pillows, but the pillows are for jumping off, not for jumping on. She needs something, cut the leg shorter. No, there's an idea. That's actually not a terrible idea. That's true. That's true. I could sacrifice my ottoman for Sasha. You're right. Okay, I'm going to go now. We're going to continue, but I will look at ottomans that look like they work, and I can get a saw and just cut the legs off. You're right. And that would work. All right. We're going to look into this. Anybody who wants to just go and look for ottomans online, if you see anything good, pass it my way. Lower the couch. Exactly. All right, let's keep going. Kennedy. Oh my God, Bobby Kennedy. So this is crazy too. Bobby Kennedy, as you know, or Robert F. Kennedy Jr., I should say, not Bobby, I'm going to write this down. Bobby Kennedy Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is our Health and Human Services Secretary. He doesn't believe in a lot of science. He's anti-vaccine. He promotes a lot of conspiracy theories and crazy stuff. He now says that government scientists will no longer publish in the top scientific publications because they're all corrupt. Guys, you got to listen to this. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Skywalker. Listen to this. He may bar government scientists from publishing in the world's leading medical journals, instead proposing the creation of in-house publications. His agency is going to create their own crazy people medical journal, basically like a medical journal for crazy people, right? That spews conspiracy theories. Because listen to this, we are probably going to stop publishing in the Lancet, the New England Journal of Medicine, and the Journal of the American Medical Association because they're all corrupt. I mean, he's crazy. The man is crazy. Lancet, the Journal of the American Medical Association, and the New England Journal of Medicine are all corrupt. Okay, either they're all corrupt and you're okay, or you're crazy and they're all okay. If that's the choice he's giving us, right? 3 different of the very top, thank you, Jared, for the subscribing. Three of the very top science journals in America are either all bad or he's bad. I know, we knew who he was. It's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific. These folks don't believe in science. It's very sad. It's why they're trying to take down America's top universities. It's why they're cutting funding for science. It's why he doesn't believe in vaccines. He lied about polio, right? I mean, he's the one, his organization claimed the polio vaccine doesn't work. The polio vaccine works. The polio vaccine is quite possibly the greatest scientific achievement in like the history of the world, possibly. I mean, going to the moon's pretty big, but polio was huge, curing polio. And his organization during the campaign said, so last year, right? His organization said like last summer that polio wasn't caused by polio, they claimed falsely. They claimed that polio was like caused by toxins or something. And they claimed that the vaccine doesn't work. The vaccine, the polio vaccine that has not cured, but has stopped millions from getting polio, right? Actually, millions, more than millions. I mean, I'm actually kind of curious. How many, I don't think we actually know because, right, people take the vaccine and then none of us get polio. I mean, amazing. And Kennedy's people think this is the kind of BS these guys put out there. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. All right. Little more here. So this is fascinating. Oh, thank you for the alien buddy, Elizabeth. I was curious what that was. Thank you for that. Elon Musk is criticizing Trump's signature spending bill. Remember how Trump is trying to get this one big, beautiful bill? Sorry. One big, beautiful bill. Oh, with the alien. Okay, that was very funny that the alien sat on top of the wig. That was cool, Ash. Thank you, Elizabeth, as well. That was pretty funny. The polio vaccine has been around since 1950s, actually, early 1950s, from what I recall. So Elon is criticizing Trump's big, beautiful bill. Oh, the sun's coming. Oh, the sun should be okay, I think. I think we're okay with the sun. If I have to, I'll put the curtain up, but I think we're all right. Trump, is trying to pass, remember this big legislation for to continue his tax cuts. They're going to spend $3 trillion on tax cuts. Actually, they're going to spend nearly $5 trillion on tax cuts, but they're cutting a huge amount of money from Medicaid and other programs. And they're going to basically apply that to the tax cuts for the rich. The tax cuts, even after Trump's spending cuts, the tax cuts will cost us $3 trillion, a horrific amount. We can't afford it. The markets don't like it. Oh, what a surprise. The Palestinians, our Palestinian supporters are trying to interrupt the show again. Really can't stand you guys. Like I said, I'm going to remind people every time they do this, because I want you guys to know this is the tactics that these guys do. Every time they try to interrupt the show, I'm going to tell you guys, they keep trying to storm their way in the middle of the broadcast to come on and talk. And it's so freaking obnoxious. And anybody who puts that crap on there gets blocked immediately. Ash, go for it right now. Because if you want people to basically not support your movement and criticize your movement, then keep harassing people, because not great. I can't figure out how to turn off the damn invites. Is it even possible? I'm going to look right now. I can't figure out how to do it. Is it even possible? Oh, I'm going to guarantee you they do it everywhere. If anybody knows if it's possible, it should be possible to turn off the invites. I don't think it is. Let me look here. Viewed accounts, blocked accounts, moderators. I'm not convinced it is. Yeah, let me know, Magic Knight. I've never been able to find it. I'm looking right now. Live gifts, flip camera, mirror your video, mute microphone, pause live, no, settings, but the settings bring up, hear your voice, manager's cues, rankings, comment settings, moderators, no. Comment settings? Nope. Yeah, if anybody can see, you've seen others turn it off, I would love to. I would absolutely love to. Anyway, all right. Another vulgar, actually, that person needs to be reported though, Ash. She needs to be reported for that. So Elon is criticizing Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill, which I find absolutely freaking fascinating. Absolutely. I may have found hold on. I'm looking for the setting here. Hold on. By default, wallpaper, moderators, prioritize requests, allow requests from followers only. Oh, hello. Oh, I turned it off. There you go. Oh, you know what? No, I can do it from not followers. Why would I have a follower? There you go. Thank you. I figured it out. It was some weird, I couldn't even find it again right now. It was some weird button. We no longer are going to have the Palestinians harassing our show. Yay! No more harassment. All right. So Elon criticized Trump's bill. Elon said Trump's spending too much money. Too much money. Thank you, Xenia, for the gift. Too much money. This is fascinating. Elon, and by the way, there's another story about Elon. I'll tell you right now. Elon is in trouble. Elon didn't leave to go back to Tesla. I mean, he did, right? Remember, Elon left and he claims, I'm still going to go to Washington every couple of weeks, but I'm going to focus on Tesla. Yeah, because Tesla, the board of Tesla, was looking to hire somebody else. They were going to fire Elon. They were going to fire him. And he finally found Jesus and said, okay, I'm coming back. But the thing that clearly happened at the same time is Trump had it with Elon. I mean, Elon thought he was president. Elon loves to tell people how much money he spent getting Trump elected. Trump hates that crap, right? Trump knows Elon helped, but in Trump's mind, Trump got elected because he's Donald Trump. Trump didn't get elected because Elon did it, and without Elon, Trump wouldn't have won, right? I mean, there's no way. Well, this today, I think, shows it. Elon is criticizing Trump's big legislation, his one big beautiful bill. It's Trump's biggest, it's his tax cuts, it's everything. Thank you, Dave, for the gifts, right? Elon's criticizing it. Something's up with that. Guess what else happened? The story came out today that there's a whole new deal with, let me pull this up. OpenAI with Dubai. Okay. When Trump went to the Middle East to meet all the dictators and get all the bribes, a deal was announced with OpenAI, which does ChatGPT. We like them. With OpenAI and Sam Altman and the government of Dubai. And Elon wanted Elon's AI program or AI company as part of the deal. He doesn't like Sam Altman. He doesn't like ChatGPT, right? OpenAI, which runs ChatGPT, and owns it. He wanted Elon's group. So Elon, and this is my favorite. This was in the Wall Street Journal today. Listen to this. Elon worked hard to try to derail the deal if it didn't include his own AI startup. On a call with officials, an AI firm on a call with officials at G42, an AI firm controlled by the brother of the United Arab Emirates president. So Elon's on a call with a firm run by the brother of one of the basically Arab leaders. Okay. So he knows he's talking to the Arab leaders. Elon warns that there was no chance of President Trump signing off on the deal unless Elon's company was included in the deal, Elon said. Guess what Trump did? Trump's people got together. He looked at it. He goes, it's a good deal. Do it. Trump cut Elon out of the deal. Elon told them on the call, if you don't put me in the deal, Trump will kill this. Do you know? I mean, imagine how Trump reacted to that. I mean, that was Elon's do you know who I am moment, right? That Elon thinks he's president. Elon thinks he's going to speak for Trump. You know, Trump had a conniption fit over that one, right? That Elon's speaking for Trump. Very interesting stuff. So I put all of these stories together that Elon is now officially on the outs. I did, by the way, do a little research. I'm going to do a video when we're done with the show. I'm going to do a video tonight. I was looking to see just because Elon is upset about the spending bill, right? And Elon says, I'm sorry, I didn't explain why Elon's upset. Elon is upset about the spending bill, Trump's spending bill, because after it's undoing all the good work Elon did with DOGE, all the money Elon cut from the government, Trump is going to spend again. So I decided to do a little research as to just how much money has Elon cut from the government. And remember, Elon first said he was going to cut $2 trillion this year. And everyone said that would be a third of the federal budget. You'll literally cause a depression. Then Elon said, okay, I'm going to cut $1 trillion this year. Let me tell you how much Elon has cut. Elon has cut around $25 billion, maybe a little bit less. Thank you, Grant's mom. Thank you, Isley, for subscribing. Now, $25 billion isn't nothing, but it's not much when you're talking about, the deficit being, what is the deficit now? Our budget deficit is, in my mind, I'm trying to remember how much the U.S. budget deficit is. I don't want to say a number. Alexa, how big is the U.S. budget deficit on an annual basis? Oh, Alexa's so, oh, I hate this with Alexa because she's so, no. You guys are telling me that's the deficit. That's not the budget. That's not the budget deficit. You're saying what the national debt is. I did not ask what the national debt is. I asked what the budget deficit was. How large is the US budget deficit right now? The budget deficit is on an annual basis, how much money we spend versus how much money we take in annually. 1.3 to 1.9. Oh, 1.9 trillion. Oh, okay. 1.9 trillion. Thank you, Donald. So that's right. I thought it was $2 trillion. It's $2 trillion. That's what I thought it was. So the budget deficit, which means how much we spend that we don't have. In other words, we spend 6 trillion, I think. We've got 4 trillion is what I think is the sort of the correct figure there. Thank you, Flower Lady. So it's $2 trillion. 35 billion doesn't get you anywhere. Actually, 35 billion out of 2 trillion is going to be 1.75% or so, right? Right? 35 billion. Am I correct on this, guys? 35 billion out of 2 trillion. I'm going to guess it's like 1 point some percent. It's next to nothing. That's how much Elon has cut. Now, I want to give you the numbers, though, because it made me laugh when I Googled this. As of April 2025, DOGE claimed to have saved approximately $160 billion. Mind you, they were going to cut $2 trillion. $160 billion. It is 1.65. Thank you, user 596. I was doing it I hate doing math in my head, so to speak, because it's like, when I'm on with you guys, because it makes me nervous and I'm going to get it wrong. So I'm glad I got it right. Listen to this. A CBS News report. No. Okay. I'm sorry. As of April 2025, DOGE claimed to have saved approximately $160 billion. However, independent analyses have raised concerns about the accuracy of these figures. For instance, a CBS News report highlighted that some of DOGE's claimed savings were offset by costs associated with layoffs and operational disruptions, meaning that DOGE had to spend money by firing everybody, that it actually cost them a lot of money to fire everybody. And listen to this. So DOGE claimed to have saved $160 billion. They spent $135 billion firing everybody. Okay. Let me get this again. They saved $160 billion. And in order to save the $160 billion, they spent $135 billion. So they only saved $25 billion. Honestly, and again, this is where I say I think Democrats really are bad at messaging. This is like a joke about the government, right? Like, how does the U.S. government save $160 billion by spending $135 billion, right? You're like, what? Like, what? They spent $135 billion to fire people. So basically, DOGE saved no money at all. They saved no money at all, practically no money at all. Now, by the way, I had told you this. A good friend of mine used to work for the government. He was a lawyer, and he told me, he said, you understand, like, these contracts can't just be canceled. He said, all the contracts they're canceling, right? He said, remember they were canceling, Elon was canceling all the federal agencies' office space, right? That he just canceled it. And a lot of these employees, they were just firing. And he said, you realize you can't just you don't just break your lease, right? You have a lease for 5 years. You don't just say, we're not paying for that anymore, which is what Elon did. He goes, you're going to have to pay for that. The only thing is, now that you've moved everybody out of there and fired everybody, or claimed you fired everybody, you're no longer using the office space, but you're paying for it for the next 5 years. So that's money not saved. But in this case, it's literally money that it's costing them extra that Elon's doing. Again, oh, Elon. What else we got here? Taco Trump. Okay, let's talk about Taco Trump before we go to Ukraine. So Trump got asked today, and I am shocked that he got asked about this. Trump got asked today by a reporter and said, do you understand that people on Wall Street have a nickname for you? And they're calling you Taco Trump. And he said, why? And he said, because Trump, what was it? Trump always chickens out. Yes, Trump always chickens out. Now, I asked ChatGPT to create one. It did a very good job, actually. I told it, I said, at first it did a bad job, but I said, I want it to be like a turtle. ChatGPT is fun because you have to kind of tell it. I mean, it's fun because you got to think a little bit. And I said, no, I want it to be a turtle. I said, except instead of a shell, he's wearing a taco. And I want the taco to have all the frills with it. And I said, and the arms and the legs are sticking out of the taco. And it did it. I mean, this is really pretty damn good. This is, mind you, this took, 30 seconds to do. I mean, this is the kind of stuff like we've talked about. You used to have to hire somebody to do this kind of stuff. I mean, it's really, really kind of amazing to me. I mean, that you can do this stuff. I am told you every day I'm getting more and more impressed with my ChatGPT, and every day I'm asking it stuff, and it blows my mind. But I love it. Taco Trump. So yes, and of course Trump's response, because what they said was, you keep caving on the tariffs. You keep saying you're going to put these huge tariffs on these companies, and then you get wishy-washy. Probably can't do a T-shirt because we'd probably get sued by Trump for his likeness, is my guess, unfortunately. I'd have to look into it, but I've looked into it before. It's very risky putting people's faces on T-shirts that are celebrities. They have a right of publicity, it's called, and they can get you. Good idea, though. Thank you, Wandering Chill, by the way, for the gift. So they were calling him a taco. Trump always chickens out because of the tariffs. Because all the tariffs he's threatened, he backed out on, right? So because look at the everyone actually. The China, Colombia backed out initially against Canada and Mexico. He threatened and backed out. The Chinese ones, he threatened and then put massive tariffs and then backed out. The Europeans, he threatened and backed out. Now the Europe ones. Oh, then Europe. He then on Europe threatened to do it again. Remember, Trump said, 90 days. We're going to get rid of most of the tariffs for 90 days. We'll go back to 10%. And then he got pissed at the Europeans 2 weeks later and said, I'm hitting you with a 50% tariff. And then what happened 2 days later? Thank you, Cheryl. 2 days later, Trump said, oh, okay, we're going to wait 6 weeks. We're not going to hit you with a 50% tariff. He caves. He's weak. He waffles. He's a taco. Trump always chickens out. He's a taco. Anyway, but I love that picture. I thought that was very fun. All right, let's move on. Talk about Ukraine. There is Ukraine news. There's actually a good amount of Ukraine. We've been going quite long today, actually. There's quite a lot of Ukraine news. Ukraine, we are day 1,189 of Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation. Thank you, Marsha, for the gift. Keep the gifts coming, guys. I do this for a living. Your gifts pay the bills. So thank you. Reuters. So this is getting interesting. Trump threatened. Okay. Taco Trump, because Trump always caves, right? By the way, that's the other thing too. Trump always chickens out, but Trump always caves too, which is also taco, right? Trump always caves. Trump threatened Putin. He was going to put sanctions on Putin last week. He said, thank you, Tarmo, for the gifts. Thank you, Haven. He said, if Vladimir Putin doesn't immediately agree to a ceasefire with Ukraine, I'm putting sanctions on him immediately. And then Putin said, no. Thank you, Marsha. Putin said, no. And Trump said, okay, never mind. I'm not going to do it. So, again, part of Trump, he's weak. So Putin now is putting out his conditions for ending the war. Because basically Putin got scared. Putin did get scared a little bit. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Kim. Trump threatened again this weekend and said, oh, very cool gift. Thank you, Kim. Trump threatened again this weekend and then the last couple of days that he's going to make Putin feel real pain if Putin doesn't, advance the sort of the peace process. Trump actually today said that it's going to be, we've got 2 weeks. Putin's got 2 weeks to prove if he's going to do the peace process. Actually, that one gets blocked, obviously. He's got 2 weeks to prove if he's going to agree to the peace process, if he's serious about the peace process. Well, Putin now is proposing, thank you, Ash. Putin now is proposing that his conditions for peace have been leaked. Now, mind you, it's the same conditions he's always had. But Putin is demanding these conditions to end the war, according to Reuters. Listen to this. a demand that Western leaders pledge in writing to stop enlarging NATO eastwards. And in other words, never include Ukraine, Georgia, Moldova, or any other former Soviet republics in NATO. Trump will agree to this. I think Trump will, because Trump doesn't care, right? Thank you, Emma. And Trump is on Putin's side anyway. Trump will agree to this, but it doesn't matter. Because I guarantee you, and the next Democrat that gets elected, we will demand that they take that document on national TV, do what Nancy Pelosi did with Trump's State of the Union, right? Take it and rip it in half. And the Russians need to know that any deal that we can play the same game Trump plays. Thank you. Sorry. Trump likes to play this game now where basically no American leader you can trust, because Trump, as he's shown, Trump can just go back on any promises the U.S. has made, NATO or anything. Democrats need to do the same thing. They need to say, you know what? Trump is corrupt. He made a bunch of promises like telling Putin NATO wouldn't expand. NATO's going to expand wherever the hell it wants to expand. Let's talk about NATO expansion. Thank you, user 222. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, sorry. Let's talk about why NATO expands. Why did NATO get bigger? NATO was created to basically stop the Soviet Union. NATO was created because the Russians invaded Europe and captured half of Europe. Russia were allies with the Germans in World War II. Russia helped start World War II by promising the Germans that they would not touch the Germans. The Germans could go and invade Europe and the Russians would not get involved. Thank you, Paddington. Thank you, Hellianne. And the Europeans needed, the Germans needed that information. They needed to know the Russians weren't going to basically fight back and help the Europeans fight off the bad Germans from World War II, because that would have been bad for them. So the Russians said, don't worry about it, go for it. The Russians also reached a deal with the Germans to split up certain European countries. They both agreed they were going to invade Poland together and take half the country. The Russians got in writing that they were going to take some of the Baltic states, some of those places, right? So World War II ends. We win, thank God. Russia survives in large part because the Brits and the Americans saved Russia's behind by giving them tons of support, because Russia wouldn't have survived had they not had our support. And what does Russia do to thank us? Russia kidnaps half of Europe. Russia literally invaded half of Europe and created communist dictatorships in literally half of Europe. Russia created horrific communist dictators, the most brutal dictatorships on the planet. And they cut Germany in half, actually in third. East Germany, they called it. The brutal dictatorship in Germany, especially. Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Poland, all of these countries. And the other ones, Yugoslavia, Albania, a little different, but these countries were part of the Soviet bloc. They were literally run by Moscow. The Russians, Patton. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that, but interesting point. Thank you, Melanie. 45 years, the Russians controlled Eastern Europe. 45 years, the Russians inflicted horrific communist dictatorships. They invaded in 1956 in Hungary. They invaded in 1968 in Czechoslovakia. When the citizens of that country, the students, tried to rise up because they wanted freedom, the Russians drove their tanks in, and just like Tiananmen Square, they killed everybody. They just ran their tanks and killed everybody. Not very nice what they did in Eastern Europe. You then get to 1989. Eastern Europe explodes. Eastern Europe is free. Eastern Europe overthrows the communist dictatorships run by Russia. And the Eastern European, again, Czechoslovakia becomes Czech Republic and Slovakia. Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, Poland. All of these countries are now free. Okay? East Germany becomes part of Germany. So all of a sudden, Germany becomes one big place, right? Again, everybody becomes free because they overthrew the Russian overlords. What do those countries do after having been Russian hostages for 45 years? Okay? Thank you, Marcia. I mean, they were literally held hostage by the Russians in a communist dictatorship for 45 years. What did those countries do? They came running to NATO and said, please protect us from the evil man who kidnapped us for 50 years. That's what they did. Thank you, Tiger Pug. I do love that hat. It's very cool. That's what happened. A number of Eastern European countries joined NATO, which was set up because the Russians invaded Europe. That's why NATO was set up, because the Russians did this. Okay, after World War II, the countries that finally broke free of the Russian tyranny, thank you, Jessica, came to NATO and said, please protect us from the bad guy who kidnapped us for 45 years. Okay? No, it's important to know this, because the people who don't know, the Russians like to say, oh, look how evil it was of you to accept these countries into NATO. Yeah, it was about as evil as the police having a kidnap victim escape and come to the police door of the station, and the police say, come in, we will protect you from your kidnapper. That's how evil it was. This is what the Russians want us to promise not to do. And specifically, which I think is fascinating. Thank you, Tiger Pug. Get over it with the patent stuff. You guys are annoying me now. Stop it. Okay? Stop. I told you. We're not talking about it. Yeah, exactly. Because TikTok doesn't want us talking about patent, unfortunately. It's not really a free speech haven. Thank you, Howie. See, that's what they piss me off too, because then I lose my train of thought when people do that kind of stuff. Not very nice. I'm trying to think where we were going with this. Oh, yeah. So the Russians have specifically said they don't want former Soviet countries joining NATO. You know who the former Soviet countries were? They were 14 more hostages. Not all of them. Belarus, questionable whether they were. Well, the Belarusian people are hostages. The Belarusian government's a dictatorship. But they were 14 other countries of basically hostages of the Russians, made up the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union, right, was mostly Russia in terms of the size, but also the Russians ran the show. They ran the show. The other countries, the Ukrainians, right? Everybody else got stepped on. The Latvians, Lithuanians, Estonians, my God, they really got stepped on. It was basically 14 hostage countries with the Russians running it, and they called it the Soviet Union. They pretended like they were the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the Union of Communist Dictatorships, right? But in fact, it was the Russians oppressing 14 countries. Well, the Soviet Union dissolves in 1991. It ceases to exist. What happens? Ukraine, after decades of being held hostage by the Russians, the Ukrainians said, we're free. Oh my God, get away from us, Russia. And they became an independent country. Other former Soviet countries, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, begged NATO. They said, take us now, please protect us from the Russians who held us hostage for all these decades. Again, that is why NATO expanded. NATO didn't actually, even saying NATO expanded, NATO didn't expand. The former Russian hostages came to NATO and said, please let us in. That's what happened. NATO didn't, because the Russians like to say NATO expanded as if like, oh my God, NATO was this big and it just got bigger and ate all these countries. No, that's what the Russians did. In NATO's case, the Latvians, the Lithuanians, the Estonians came to NATO and said, please, my God, save us. Okay? By the way, you guys know recent history. The Swedes and the Finns did the same thing. The reason NATO expanded in the last couple of years is because Russia invaded Ukraine. And Finland and Sweden, that have been notoriously independent, but meaning like non-aligned. Now, Finland and Sweden were both on our side, so to speak, but they were still non-aligned. Like they weren't taking sides, so to speak. And World War II, a little bit of creepiness with Sweden, let's face it. But they were non-aligned. They got so freaked out by the Russians invading Ukraine that the Finns and the Swedes begged. I don't mean begged. I begged sounds bad. I don't mean it in that sense. But what I mean is they were like, NATO, please let us join you. Right? It was not NATO going, hey, come on, Sweden, come on, Finland, you better join us. It was the governments of the presidents or prime ministers of Sweden and Finland saying, please, please, please let us in. Because Russia was threatening them. Right? NATO didn't expand. Former Russian, either former Russian hostages or countries that had been repeatedly threatened by Russia begged for NATO's protection. And now Russia wants us to promise that we're never going to do it again. Now, as I said, Trump probably will. But also that's irrelevant because does anybody think Trump is going to do anything to piss off Putin? Please. right? He threatened sanctions a week ago, and Putin said no, and Trump said, okay, Mr. Taco, right? Trump always chickens out. He said, okay, we're not going to do it. Don't worry, we won't do anything. So I'm sure Trump is going to say, yeah, we won't expand it, because Trump doesn't like NATO anyway. Trump doesn't want more countries joining NATO. He doesn't like NATO. So I'm sure Trump will promise not to expand NATO. And Democrats need to let the Russians know that the next time a Democrat, or frankly, a normal Republican, gets elected, they're going to rip that little document up and Russia can go stuff itself as far as that goes. Anyway, all right. What else we got here? The Russians did say they're now willing to have direct talks with the Ukrainians on June 2nd in Turkey. You may recall the Russians had suggested a meeting with Ukraine last week and then blew it off, basically. They chickened out. Putin said he was going to negotiate with Zelensky and then chickened out. Well, now because Trump had threatened them, the Russians said, oh, okay, we'll meet on June 2nd in Istanbul. That's why they put out these crazy demands. Let's see what they do. I mean, we have no idea what they're going to. Let's see what they do. Finally, Zelensky. Is this funny? Yeah, Zelensky is in Germany today. This is pretty good, actually. Thank you, my lady, Marsha, for the gifts. Zelensky's in Germany today. Thank you, Marsha. Got a huge promise of aid from the new German Chancellor Merz. 5 billion euros or 4.2 billion pounds. 5 billion euros is about $5 billion. Basically, it's a huge amount. It will include joint production of long-range weapons with the Ukrainians. And one thing in particular that was very interesting is there's been no specific word on, thank you, Haven, for the gift, on what the Germans are doing with regards to Taurus cruise missiles. The Germans produce a cruise missile that's very good and useful. The Ukrainians have wanted it for a while. The Germans have been kind of afraid to give it. Thank you, Rocket, for the gifts. The Germans have been afraid to give it. And the new Chancellor of Germany, the president, whatever you want to call him, prime minister, was basically in favor of giving these missiles, and people were hoping he was going to announce today. He didn't announce today that he was giving the missiles. Thank you, Marshall. But what seems to be happening with the new head of Germany, thank you, Haven, is he's trying not to announce weapons deals at all. And this is something that a lot of us asked from the beginning of the war in Ukraine. Remember, we kept, thank you, Maddie. Oh, hey, Maddie. Maddie messaged me privately. I know we totally got you wrong yesterday. I am sorry about that. But thank you. That's sweet of you. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Haven. So I was saying really quick, the German aid. So the Germans have decided, which is very smart, to stop saying what weapons they're giving Ukraine. Basically, stop telling the Russians what they're getting. And the discussion now is not that Germany has not promised to give Ukraine the cruise missiles. It's entirely possible Germany has already agreed to give Ukraine the cruise missiles. It's possible. But the Germans are no longer saying it publicly. So we don't really know. Now, it's possible the Germans aren't giving the missiles, but my point is, it is not a situation where, the Germans didn't announce the cruise missiles today, so Ukraine didn't get it. No. If Germany were going to give Ukraine the cruise missiles today, they weren't going to go public anyway, which is very interesting. So anyway, it's good. So very good, though. Huge aid from the Germans, which is great to see. So, all right. Let's, boy, this went long today. Let's maybe talk 10 minutes and then we're going to call it quits, guys, because we've already been doing this for an hour. And again, my voice has been, although I'm kind of wondering if my voice is being weird from allergies too. It's possible. It's possible, but I don't want to screw it up. Thank you, Chazak. Because I get to tell my voice has been rattly when I do the show lately. I've been trying to keep a lower voice with you guys, but it's still kind of weird, you know? Anyway, Taco Trump. Yo quiero Taco Trump. Well, this is actually funny too, because this was funny. This was the first one it did. Okay. And for some reason, ChatGPT gave 3. I did Taco Trump because the Wall Street traders are calling Trump now Taco. Trump always chickens out. Literally, it's his new nickname on Wall Street, Taco. And Trump got asked about it today. So I asked ChatGPT interesting. There we go. I asked ChatGPT to do Trump in a taco. I said, well, actually, it did some. I don't think I've got the earlier ones on here. No, the earlier ones weren't very good. The earlier ones, it showed Trump in front of a taco. And I was like, no. I said, okay, I want you to, okay, how did that happen? Wow. Okay, you know what? The Palestinians just tried to barge into the show again. I turned it off. This is kind of blowing my mind here. I turned off the invite thing and they got their way back in again. Hold on. Allow requests from viewers. No. How the heck? Wow. I'd really like to know how these people are able to barge in. It's really freaking obnoxious. That's really crazy. I turned it off, guys. I've turned it off and it's still there. Amazing. Wow. Hold on, I'm doing one last little look here. Absolutely incredible. No, we've got this sort of obnoxious Palestinian trolls who come and they try to barge in on all the shows. It's really obnoxious. It's really freaking obnoxious. They did begin the show. Somebody did, and of course, and literally the profile literally has the Palestinian flag and all this kind of garbage in it. Really amazing. Really amazing. In any case, so I said Trump as a taco. Well, it gave me a picture of a taco with Trump standing in front of it. And I said, no. And this is, again, computers. I said, okay, what I want is imagine Trump as a turtle, but his shell is a taco with his arms and legs sticking out. And I said, like, his head is sticking out, put a lot of salad and vegetables on the taco. So the taco is like Trump's shell, like a turtle shell. So it gave me this, except it gave him 3 legs. And this is one of the weird things ChatGPT does. Because, like, why would you give him 3 legs? Now, I showed it to my nephew and he said, well, maybe Trump tacos have 3 legs. And I said, okay, that's cute. But, it's a little weird. It gave him 3 legs. So although it could be 4 legs, like you could put 4 legs, it might make sense. Then I said, do 2 legs. It did this. Now, the thing that's interesting, though, is it made him skinnier. Check this out. This is Trump. And then with the 2 legs, it's subtle, but he's skinnier. And I was like, wait a minute, you're making him look better. So I said, no, that's not what he looks like. And we ended up with this one. So this was the final one of Trump taco. Because I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to let you give a slimmed down version. Anyway, it's very funny, very funny. And yes, Liz mentioned that the Russians threatened Germany today. The Russians do that 3 times a week. Nobody cares. I wasn't going to mention it on the show because it's all Russian propaganda. Nobody cares. Nobody cares that the Russians are threatening Germany. The Germans, least of all. I don't care. The Russians want to start war in Europe, then we'll get involved, and they're not going to win that war. So I'm not too worried about it. But they want us to talk about it. They want us to scare people. And, let them try. Because the Europeans alone could beat Russia, let alone with our help. It'd be a mess, but they're not gonna do well, though. Anyway, yo quiero taco Trump. Yo quiero taco Trump. Exactly. Russia's threatening nuclear war. Boring. Anyway, no, the Russians, the Russians think they're scary. No, now, Russia, like many second-rate countries in terms of military, has the ability to cause lots of damage, right? We know this. They're causing lots of damage in Ukraine. But they're second-rate compared to us. They can't win a war against us. The war would be bad, right? A lot of people would get hurt, a lot of property destroyed, but they can't win because they're second-rate. And that's why, in the end, like, it's all goofy threat. I've told this. We talked about this a long time ago. What Russia has to do is convince you that they're crazy, because if they're not crazy, they won't go to war, because Russia knows they would lose a war against us because we're bigger than they are. We're better than our military is so much better than a Russian military. They're not a world power anymore, but they know they would cause lots of damage. But the Russians would never go to war against us because they would lose. So they have to convince us they're crazy, right? Oh my God, they're so crazy. They would go to war anyway, even knowing they'd lose. Of course, they're not crazy, and they wouldn't go to war against us knowing they'd lose. They're not crazy. They're not. But they need to convince us they are, because that makes you guys go, oh my God, I'm so afraid of them because, they don't think like us. They don't know they would lose. Yeah, they do. They're very smart people running Russia. They know they would lose. So that's why I don't care when they make these threats, because they make these threats. Again, this is like Russia's taco. Russia always chickens out. Rocco and taco. Russia always, and in Russia's case, I guess they do chicken out too, because Russia has threatened nuclear war like 3 times a week for the last 3 years. I haven't seen any nuclear wars, I have to say. Exactly, Flaming. So, no, exactly. They can't handle Ukraine. And the Ukraine thing, I mean, Ukraine's not doing well in Ukraine, but guess who else isn't doing well in Ukraine? Russia. I mean, Russia likes to pretend like, NATO can't afford this. NATO can afford it. And I mean, to some degree, it's costing a lot of money, but to some degree, World War II put America on the map. I wonder, it's an interesting hypothesis. I'd have to know more about Europe's defense industry and economy and stuff. But World War II really made America the superpower. And World War II did a lot for the U.S. economy. It brought our economy out of the Depression, really. I mean, from what I remember, we, like a couple of years after the Depression, the economy kind of crashed again. And it went until like 1939 or something, more or less, until the economy started coming back. It was World War II that did it. I wonder what, 5 minutes left. Thank you, Lupita. You're right. I wonder what would happen. I mean, I know it's been hard for Europe to keep up the assistance, but I wonder what would happen if Europe had to shift to a little bit more of a war. I say war economy, meaning spending more on defense spending, this kind of stuff, and whether it might actually help Europe grow in the same way it helped America grow. I don't know. Thank you, Haven. Spending more money at home, helping the economy. I don't know. Anyway, a couple more minutes and then we'll go. I mean, it's already over an hour, so we're doing good, but I typically got used to doing my shows for an hour and a half, but Eurovision screwed my voice up. Thank you, Patty. Sorry, Sasha, just wait. Oh, hi, you're okay. Hi. Sorry, she's on the couch making noises, but I'm not sure why. So, not sure what's going on there. That's funny. Flower Lady says, the first thing I learned in economics class was throw a war to help the economy. Now, okay, just for fun, let's ask ChatGPT about this. Just for fun. Oh, I got some bug bite on my hand, like really nasty the other day, and it hurts like hell. It's better now, but it was pretty bad. It has to be a bug bite because I wasn't cooking. I don't think anything burned in the middle of my palm, but it hurt like hell. If war broke out between Russia and the Europeans, or at the very least, if we got into a new Cold War where the Europeans took the lead on their own, facing off against Russia, to what degree would that bankrupt Europe, or could it be the opposite, just like World War II, where the U.S. becoming the arsenal of democracy to the world really put us on the map economically and took the U.S. out of the Depression and everything else, period. Could increased hostilities with Russia and increased defense spending by the Europeans actually help the European economies? I'm just curious what ChatGPT says. Let's see. It could under certain circumstances. Europe's fiscal position varies dramatically by country. Nations like Germany and the Nordics are relatively fiscally sound. Others like France, Italy, and much of Eastern Europe are burdened with high debt and limited fiscal flexibility. Military spending is expensive. Europe currently spends far less on defense than the U.S. NATO recommends 2%. We know that. If all major EU countries suddenly ramped up to Cold War levels, 4 to 5% of GDP, it could strain budgets and lead to higher debt or taxes. Supply chains and energy vulnerabilities. Europe is still partially dependent on Russian energy. We know that. In short, a hot war or heavy Cold War could seriously stress weaker European economies, especially if it's prolonged. Could a Cold War style buildup help Europe like World War II helped the US? Possibly. What's really scary though, this is the kind of stuff where people have these things write their papers, right? I mean, this is the kind of thing that as I'm reading this, you could imagine this written as an essay for college, right? And you'd probably do okay because it's interesting, but it's kind of scary too because it's literally writing it for you. Military Keynesianism, the theory that government defense spending can stimulate economic growth, especially during downturns. World War II is the classic example. Defense industries tend to create high-paying jobs, encourage technological innovation, think radar, GPS, the internet, and support auxiliary industries, manufacturing, R&D, energy, logistics. European reindustrialization. Europe, especially Germany and France, lost industrial capacity to China and the US over the last 30 years. A pivot to defense production could reindustrialize key sectors, shipbuilding, aerospace, electronics, cyber defense, much like the US did in World War II. Eastern Europe could see a manufacturing boom if NATO builds bases, air defense systems, and supply lines across Poland, Romania, and the Baltics. Taking the lead in their own defense could force Europe to become less dependent on the U.S. and more unified strategically and economically. Okay. Oh, I see. Some of the limitations: debt to GDP. America was at 40% in World War II. Europe is 90 to 145. So the Europeans have more debt than we did. Demographics: America was young and growing. Europe is aging, shrinking population. And this is, we're talking about America in World War II. Will you stop? What are you doing? God, she's whining behind me. Industrial base: America massive, underutilized. Europe hollowed out, meaning America World War II. Energy independence: America was self-sufficient. Europe's dependent on imports. Reserve currency. So anyway, interesting theory. I think it's an interesting theory, but isn't it scary, like what this thing can do in terms of writing essays? Oh, hey, Jens. If the bug bite is from a radioactive spider, I might become the next superhero. This is true. I could become the next Spider-Man. I mean, it's nasty though. It's like it actually, it's better today, but it was hurting. Your dog is whining behind you too. I'm not sure what she wants me to brush her teeth and give her a treat, but it's early for that. I think she's just, I gave her a little bit of a pill because the rain is not making her happy, which also might be why she was afraid of jumping on the couch. She's been afraid anyway, but I think the pill may have made her a little more afraid. So no, I love AI. I think it's fascinating. I am not thrilled about, now I will say this. I have already reviewed essays for various things I do, and I've been able to catch AI. So far, when I read an essay that's AI, I can tell. I can tell the essays that I can tell. She might be afraid to jump down, but she's usually not, Val. Good question, though, but I don't think so. Right. Just because I can tell the essays that are AI doesn't mean I can always tell, because I can only tell the essays that are AI that I can tell. Maybe there's some AI essays that are so good that you can't tell, right? Who knows? But anyway, it's, I still find it fascinating. I am using it every day. I like to use it, as I was telling you the other day. By the way, the bank rates kind of suck. The bank rates aren't that much better. So I'm going to stick with what we've got at Vanguard. They're just not very good. They're not good enough. And they have all sorts of crazy restrictions. Like every month you got to move money in, and all sorts of have a checking account, all sorts of crazy shit. So I'm good enough at Vanguard. But what I'm liking with AI is I keep asking it. For example, I got into a discussion with AI with some of my recipes, my desserts. And I was like, I'm thinking of adding maybe some orange extract, but I'm also thinking lemon extract. What do you think of the difference? And the AI ChatGPT got into a discussion with me about the relative merits of orange extract versus lemon extract for this particular recipe. And it was fascinating. It was absolutely fascinating. Thank you, Blue Ariel. Oh, good to see you, by the way. But it was really wild and then I was at the store the other day, I told you, at Lidl, and they had two different kinds of blueberries. And okay, I'm coming right now. And I asked it to compare the blueberries, and it said, okay, this one's more like this. This is more like this. This is for baking if you're making like a blueberry muffin or whatever. This one would be more for yogurt, putting blueberries in it. And I'm reading this going, my God, oh, hey, Sasha. Good to see you. Really fascinating, right? In terms of what this can do. Any case, I'm blown away by the ChatGPT. Chat AI from Apple, I don't even know. I still don't even understand what my iPhone has in terms of AI. It's not there yet. 1 second, dog. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off because it's almost 7:15 and we've been doing this for an hour and 10 minutes and I'm trying to protect my voice. So let's join you tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern time, US. I'll be back. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, moderators. And I will see you guys tomorrow. All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you for that. All right. Let me, as always, I'm going to start with Sasha. I'm coming. Oh my God. She's like beside herself. Okay. See you, Discord. All right. I'm coming. Oh my God. Wait. Dear Lord. Oh my God. Okay. YouTube. Bye, guys. She is in quite a pickle tonight.